to your new one-stop fundraising platform, Classy. Classy is your chapter's donation page and campaign fundraising pages all in one. Your chapter's donation page is already set up and ready to use. All donations made either on your chapter's page or any of the campaign fundraising pages you create will automatically be deposited into your chapter's general fund. There is no need to make any changes to the donation page unless you want to personalize it further to your chapter. Now, let's have Classy show you how it's done.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Once you receive your invitation to become an administrator for your page and you successfully log in, you will be taken directly to the overview for your campaign or donation page. The overview tab can be helpful for some quick summary metrics, as you can see here. You'll get a quick list of your top fundraisers that you can break down by either all-time, last week, or this week, as well as a sales breakdown by the same time periods. You can do a lot more detailed analysis in the reports, which we'll cover later on in this demonstration, but again, for a high-level view of those kind of metrics, you can very easily access them via the Overview tab. The promotion box over here as well allows you to very quickly share and promote your campaign. So if you'd like to invite people via email to visit the campaign page, you can use that link, share it to your social media outlets here as well. Or if you'd like to grab and embed the campaign landing page URL into a button or link on your home site or newsletter, you can grab that campaign landing page URL right here as well. You can also access a live version of your page, which is the page we were just looking at with the intro here today, by clicking this view button with the eyeball icon right next to it at any point as well. So if you're making edits and then would like to go back and take a quick look at the actual live page, that's the easiest way to access the page. Once you're ready to start actually editing some of the details and different parts of your campaign, you'll want to start with the Edit tab and work through this sequentially. So starting with the Details screen. HQ has already done a fantastic job of setting your campaigns up for success. You'll want to make sure that you never touch the Select Program Designation option, because this is how HQ is allocating the funds that are raised through your page. In short, you'll just basically want to live in the campaign description area on this page where you can really personalize what the details of your campaign are. And for a quick reference here, the campaign description will sit directly beneath the media player on your campaign landing page. If you would like to edit those details, again, access the campaign description area. You can expand this text block for more space using this little icon right here. In terms of editing the content, it's fairly standard styling and formatting tools that you're probably very used to seeing. You can also add links to any of the text or images that have been added to this space. You can embed images or video into this space. Or if you or anybody you know is really savvy with coding in HTML, you can actually click the source button here and lay code directly into this block instead. A good rule of thumb with the campaign description is to let your supporters know what the campaign's all about, why supporting the campaign's important, how money raised might be used to address any problems you guys have identified, something along those lines, but just kind of generally getting your supporters excited about either fundraising in support of the campaign or donating to it. So that does it here for the Edit Details screen. Next, under the Edit tab is the Appearance screen. And this is where you'll access the page that allows you to change up or update the design elements of the page. Again, this is a layout very similar to the live page. Just keep in mind that it won't be exactly the same as the live page. So once you're done making your edits here, again, you'll just want to make sure you go back to the actual live page to make sure that everything looks the way you expected it to. The design of the page using the design tool works from top to bottom, as you can see here from header to footer. You will primarily be living in the main page and media sections. HQ, again, has done a great job of setting you guys up for success already with personalized headers and footers that you will not want to edit or update without HQ approval. Diving into the sections that you will be able to edit here, The main page section basically starts with this banner image with the picture of the little girl here. And so this is the first area where you might want to start making edits. You'll notice that almost everywhere that you'll be uploading images here in the back end that there's recommended dimensions listed right next to the edit or upload button. So if you are planning to replace any of that content, you'll just want to make sure that you stick to those recommended dimensions, because anything outside of them may compromise the quality or resolution of the image in some way. So again, the banner image here for the main page portion would replace this personalized image here at the top of the form. The primary and secondary colors here would change what colors your call to action buttons are. So you can see how those change in real time. The background image is this whole image both surrounding and behind the form with the rocks and foliage here. Once you upload a background image, you can see that there's several different display options that are presented to you. So if you do choose to change that background image, you can play around with those different display options to get that background image looking just the way you imagined it would. Or if you just wanted to make the background a solid color instead of an image, you could remove that image altogether and then use the color picker tool here to drag to the desired shade of the palette, or use the hex code or color code field here to get a perfect match with a specific color you might have had in mind. Moving on to the media player, so if we scroll down the page a little bit further here, you'll notice that there's a dedicated media player here. Now the media player not only appears here on the campaign landing page, but it would also appear on every individual and team fundraising page that is created in support of this campaign. So I'm going to go to an example of an individual fundraising page that's already been created in support of this campaign, so you'll see again that there's a media player that appears on that page as well. The media player will take up to any combination of 5 images or videos, and any content that you add to the media player here at the campaign level would also be inserted into every individual and team fundraising page that is created in support of this campaign. So you'll notice that there's been one video inserted at the campaign level for this campaign, and that video is also appearing as content in the media player on the individual fundraising page that has been created in support of the campaign as well. So if you were to take up all 5 of those available spaces here at the campaign level, there wouldn't be any available spaces for your fundraisers to add content to the media player on their own pages. So we typically recommend that you only use 2 to 3 of those available 5 spaces here at the campaign level, which would leave 2 to 3 available spaces for each and every person who creates a fundraising page in support of the campaign. And again, to add that media, you would simply click the Edit Media button and then choose whether to add an image or a video. And just keep in mind that if you do choose to add videos, we only support videos hosted at either YouTube or Vimeo. You can also use the little hamburger icon here to drag the content into different orders if you'd like to reorder the content that you've added to the player. So that does it for the design and appearance side of things here. Next, under the Edit tab, we're going to move to the Individual Fundraising Pages template. So the default fundraising goal is the goal that would automatically appear on every individual fundraising page created in support of the campaign, and the default appeal would appear directly beneath the media player on every individual page created in support of the campaign. So going back to our example of the individual fundraising page, the default goal would appear here on every page that's created, but every individual fundraiser would have the ability to revise that, provided it's greater than $1. And then the default appeal would appear directly beneath the media player on every individual fundraising page it's created. And again, every individual fundraiser would have the ability to rewrite that language to really tell their story about why they're passionate about this campaign or your organization. So definitely feel free to rewrite the default language that's been provided for you. Just keep in mind that this is one of those areas where you are giving your supporters the creative freedom to rewrite that language and really make the page their own. Next, under the Edit tab is the Team Fundraising Pages template. So it's the exact same thing that we just looked at, but for team fundraising pages instead. So a default team goal that the team can revise, and a default team appeal that the team could rewrite. Next, under the Edit tab is the donation page, but these settings have already been optimized for you by HQ, so it's recommended that you don't edit any of the settings on that screen without first getting HQ approval. And then finally, with email templates, there's 3 different email templates associated with your peer-to-peer campaign. The first is the welcome email template that's automatically generated and sent to people who successfully create a fundraising page in support of the campaign. Again, definitely feel free to rewrite the language that's been provided here for you. I would just urge you not to edit or delete this Visit My Page button, because that provides the fundraiser with a very easy means of getting back to their page to either make edits or share the page with friends and family. The Appeal email template, if we go back to an example of an individual fundraising page here quickly, there's 3 ways that your supporters will be able to share their page with friends and family. Those being sharing it to their Facebook wall, their Twitter feed, or they can email friends and family directly from their page as well. If they choose the email option, the default language that appears in the body of that email will be the language that you establish here in the Appeal email template. So again, definitely feel free to rewrite the default language. Just keep in mind that this is another one of those areas where every individual fundraiser would have the ability to personalize that language. And then finally, the donation receipt email template. This again has been optimized for you by HQ, so it's recommended that you leave all this content in place unless you have HQ's approval. One thing I did want to highlight here is the personalized thank you from the individual fundraiser if the donation is made through an individual fundraising page. This is another area where you can definitely rewrite the default language, but again, every individual fundraiser would have the ability to rewrite and personalize that thank you language when they create the page. These donation receipts are automatically generated and sent on your behalf to donors. They would include all the details for the donation, and would also include the tax deductibility language that's important to make sure that your donors can write these donations off at the end of the year. So again, we would urge you not to update or change any of that language. So that does it here for the Edit tab. Next, we're going to move to the Advanced tab here quickly. All of these settings, again, have been optimized for you by HQ, so there really isn't any need to access the Advanced tab unless you need to add fundraising teams to your campaign. So if I go to this Add a Team screen, if you ever run into a scenario where somebody's having a hard time either creating or joining a fundraising team, or if you wanted to pre-populate your campaign with fundraising teams for your supporters to choose from to join, you can add teams at any point and also assign anybody who's already created an individual fundraising page as the team lead for the page you're creating. Next, we're going to look at the Communicate tab. The first option under that is sending an invitation email, and this is basically to get people involved in your campaign. You can either import from an address book or copy and paste email addresses directly into this field. Please keep in mind that if you do use the Communication tab in the Send Invitation email, there isn't any way to track the email addresses that you've been sent to or see if they were opened. So if you would like to keep a running list or be able to see if people have opened or just see the history of who you've sent to, you may want to use the Gmail account that's been provided to you by HQ. You can also update the message that goes out with that invitation email and even see a preview of what that email would look like for your recipients. The email will also always include 2 call to action buttons to either start a fundraising page or donate directly to the campaign as well. Next, under the Communicate tab is the Send a Message functionality, and this is to help you communicate with your supporters who already have some kind of an affiliation with the campaign. So you can see there's pre-designated lists that appear in this drop-down based on people who have already created fundraising pages, and you can even segregate those people who aren't transacting if you think they need an extra little nudge for more directed messaging. And again, this is basically just a blank form with a preview of the email below that would update in real time. Other than that, it's just some pretty standard sharing functionality for your social media outlets. So again, if you wanted to share it to your chapter's Facebook wall, or if you wanted to post to your Twitter feed. So that does it for the Communicate tab here. Next, we're going to dive into the reporting functionality. The first report we'll look at is the Transactions report. This would include all of the detail that's captured in the donation page checkout forms. The first thing you'll do anytime you run any of these reports is designate what time frame of data you'd like to look at. So whether that's one of these pre-programmed timeframes running down the left-hand side here, or a specific date range that you select using the calendar tool, first thing we'll do is choose the time frame of data we'd like to look at. And these summary metrics, if there were more donations to this campaign, these summary metrics would update in real time based on any time frames you applied to the report or any filters you reapplied to the report as well. Next, there's a couple of tools here to help you find and filter the data. The Quick Find tool here allows you to very quickly search on these specific fields. The transaction ID is the specific internal transaction ID to this fundraising platform. So if you have captured that transaction ID in one of your notification emails or something along those lines, that's a very easy way to search. I can also search by any part of a donor's name. So again, with Kendall being the only donation here, I really can't show the quick find functionality, but again, very quickly allows you to search on name fields. Same thing with email here as well. And then there's also other status fields here as well, if you get any notices of those situations. The filtering tool allows you to very easily search on any of the fields here within the body of your report. So again, if I wanted to say, see everybody who'd made a gross donation of greater than, say, $1, if we had a bigger body of data here, I would again be able to filter down to that specific subset of the data. The Columns button allows you to customize the view of the report. So if there's specific fields you do or do not want to see, you can deselect or select those fields in this interface and then save that view. Once you get down to the results you're looking for, whether it's a specific transaction, a subset of the data, or the report in its entirety, you can email all of those report results directly from the reporting interface here. So it's just basically another communication tool based on your report results. Or I can export this report to a comma separated value file that you can then open up in Excel for further manipulation.
Hey, Marshall, can you talk a little bit about how to see the campaign page under fundraisers information? In the columns section will show which specific fundraising campaign page a donor's gift originated from.
Absolutely. Great point. So one thing that you may want to play around with, and again, it just kind of depends on how much information you do or do not want to see in the body of your report. There really is a wealth of information available to you in the customization of the view here. So one thing you'll definitely want to make sure that you always have checked off here is the campaign or event name, as well as the fundraiser's first and last name. So you can really see the detail for that transaction. I'll go ahead and save that view here again. And once again, sorry, just to jump back in here real quick, there really is a wealth of information. So again, designation name, that should always be your chapter. You guys are only going to be concerned with the gross donation amounts. HQ is covering the fees for all of your donations, so net donation wouldn't really ever be a factor for you. And then a lot of this is just kind of optional information depending on whether or not that's important for you guys and something that you want to either report on or you know, kind of dive into from an analytics standpoint. Once you get into the body of the report here, again, you'll just want to scroll over to the right where you can see that this did originate in the Denver Professional Chapter event. You can see that it was an online payment. Had this donation been made to an individual's fundraising page, you would be able to see which page that was here. And again, there's more detail that you can glean from that fundraising page by using some of these additional fields here. Ashley, is that the functionality you were hoping to kind of cover?
Yes, just hitting on that if they title their page, for example, fundraising for Tanzania, that if they check the page title, that will show in their reporting.
Absolutely. Yep, so as little or as much information or detail as you could possibly ever want or need is available to you by customizing your view through the columns screen. Great point, Ashley. Another report that you guys will be living in on a fairly regular basis is the Fundraising Pages report. This is all of the detail that's captured in the fundraising page sign-up form. Same rules apply here when it comes to setting a time frame for the data, using the Quick Find tool to very quickly search on specific fields here within the body of the report. The filtering tool, again, allows you to filter on any of the columns within the body of the report here. And you also have the ability to customize the view of the report. So if you do want to see additional details for the fundraising pages, you can add or deselect that detail and then save that view again. And then again, the same rules apply here when it comes to emailing the report results and exporting the report to a comma separated value file. Are there any additional details or functionality you'd like to cover in this report, Ashley?
Nope, I think you hit it great, Marshall.
Excellent. And then other than that, there's two other reports here. One is for fundraising teams. Again, if you do have teams, it's almost the exact same report that we just looked at for fundraising pages, but this would be for fundraising page or fundraising team pages instead. And then if anybody were to commit to a recurring donation with your campaign, and again, that's a monthly recurring donation, it's a setting on the donation checkout page, you'd be able to glean a lot of the details from that as well. This is a nice report because it lets you know under the history column when it was created, when the payment was actually processed, and any updates to that recurring profile. So if they update or change any of their billing information, you would be able to track that and even see what the last activity was. And then the last thing here under the reports column, if you do end up collecting any actual physical donations like checks or cash, you can add those as offline donations here. And is this something you envision the chapters doing, Ashley?
Good question, Marshall. Actually, we are not using that functionality of Classy for offline donations. We're going to still handle all of that for our chapters at HQ.
Excellent. So there's your direction. You can disregard the offline donation functionality. So that really does it for all of the tabs here within your campaign manager. As long as you work through the different tabs here sequentially like we did here today, you guys will be in really good shape. We'll be covering some resources that are available to you as well to help you through any snags you may hit along the way. You also have a very well thought out campaign already here for you, so there shouldn't be a lot of moving parts for you to deal with. But again, Classy support team is always here for you. We'll go over some resources, and HQ has been a wonderful resource and will continue to be as well. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Ashley and HQ.
Thanks so much, Marshall. Well, all of us at HQ, we look forward to the many fundraising opportunities that Classy will create for your chapter. However, just as a reminder, we do request that you do not do the following. Change the tax language in your receipt. It is currently in compliance with the IRS and needs to stay that way. Again, please do not refund any donations. Donors must contact HQ for this request. And as Marshall pointed out at the beginning, please do not change the program designation. This ensures your donors' gifts go to your chapter. And for more information on Classy, please visit the Classy Help Center at support.classy.org and the EWB USA Help Center at help.ewb-usa.org. And stay tuned, because coming soon we'll have another online training specific to running your event registrations through Classy.